not usually lost for words, and I've been sitting here thinking about what to say, how to put this together. But you just need to go. I mean, I'm going to share with you two things. The first one being, a lot of people see my life now, they see beaches and traveling and coaching men, and they think I must be rich, they think I must have no stress, they think I must have it all figured out. But I want to take you back to, people also listen to what I say about challenges and adversity and hard times. What's going on, Big Steve? And what I'm actually going to tell you, this has been the hardest year of my life, or if not the hardest 2 years of my life. And when I say I grew up with a abusive alcoholic, I got kicked out of school, ended up in prison, and all that kind of thing, it sounds terrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I would definitely not want to do it again. But they weren't really conscious decisions that I made. They were just kind of things that happened. And I remember the very first fork in the road. I remember a decision that I had to make. It was my mum's funeral when I was 23, and I'd given up on my career. I'm actually a qualified mechanic. I gave up on my career as that. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're a great mechanic and you enjoy it, do that. But I was terrible and I hated it. So I left. But having flunked high school, criminal history and that kind of thing, like, my opportunities weren't exactly sky high. My self-belief and what I saw for myself wasn't sky high. And I remember going for a job interview after my mother's funeral, just an entry-level job, where it was a dark factory in Melbourne, where I would take plastic from here to over here. I'd take it from here to over here. I said, cool, how long do I do that for? 8 hours a day, into the unforeseeable future. And I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, and hey, I'm a little slower now, but I knew I could do more. Or if I took that job, if I settled, if I stayed there, even though it would have been a paycheck, it would have been a death sentence. I mean, it could have triggered my own drinking, it could have triggered my own depression. I mean, I've experienced that too. Or I at least guess saying the word, you understand what I mean when I say depression. So I thought, at least for myself, I'm not going to do this. Or if I stay here, if I take this job, I'm going to stay here. So I was having those thoughts back then. And then that led me on a journey of discovery. Like, why do people do what they do? Why do people do what they do? Or why do they not do what they should do, or what they want to? And I started reading different books, and I started experimenting in different teachings. I started practicing different religions. I traveled. And then I found myself in a villa earlier this year. I found myself in a villa with 4 of my guys from my community, just in a sense of peace, a sense of complete happiness. And I was able to help them with their own past problems. And I thought, how did I get here? How did I go from this dude who his only opportunity was taking plastic from one side of a factory to another? No high school education, a little bitter and twisted from prison. And here I am in a villa, talking to men about meditation, talking to men about feelings. Shane, what's up? And this is why I was kind of lost for words when I started this particular video. Because even now, I'm still just kind of figuring shit out. I mean, there was no book that I found. There was no guide where it's like, how do you go from a complete dead shit failure of a life to being able to help people all around the world in the worst scenarios? And I want to kind of give you the lesson. I want to kind of give you the gift. I mean, I was born in this magical time where we had no internet. So the only things that I learned, the only things that I was aware of was kind of what was going on around me, which wasn't a whole lot. I mean, no one was reading books, no one was talking about goals. I'm not surprised I became who I did. I'm not surprised we live in an extremely unhealthy society. But then I started reading. I actually started reading books in prison, strangely enough. So bad things can happen, and then ultimately it leads you to better things. But I'm not going to say everything happens for a reason. I'll give you a little more than that. And then as I started reading books, I started learning things. And as I learned things, I could then apply those lessons to my life. And I thought, cool, I'm just going to tell people what to do. I'm just going to tell people what to do and they'll do it. I mean, worked for me. And then the internet came about. And then my mind again was exposed to even more. And as I learned more, again, I could just tell people more. But then I also discovered that wasn't enough. It's not enough. I mean, the same information that I had access to, so do you. So does everyone. And then I started doing things like meditation. Then I started doing things like, I went into the spirit world with a shaman. I've meditated in a small temple with monks. Both experiences led me to tears. And this is what happens to us in life. People die. We get our heart broken. We lose money. We take jobs that we shouldn't. We do things that we shouldn't out of fear and scarcity and negativity, or maybe that's all you think you're capable of. And just like my past, I closed off my heart, I closed off my mind, and I encased myself in armor. I mean, if you trained with me back in the early days, you know what I'm talking about. Used to call me the fucking Terminator. And again, I wasn't really helping anyone. I was just showing people what to do. And they kind of do it when I'm there, or do it while you're motivated, and then you go back to whatever it is you used to do. And I get it. I mean, starting from rock bottom, starting from below zero, starting from maybe where you're at now, like, it's overwhelming and it's scary. And you could be as broken down as I was. So you don't do anything. I mean, out of all the things I've done in my life, I worked in this one particular gym where we worked with extremely overweight people. And just like a bad credit rating, just like a life full of mistakes, being that overweight, it almost doesn't make sense losing the weight. Because even when you get back to ground zero, there's a lot of damage already done. I mean, eating disorders, self-belief issues, self-esteem issues, the loose skin from losing all the weight. I mean, there's not a whole lot of desire and motivation to want to do it. So again, I thought, how can I get people to do the work? How can I get people to change? I mean, I did it. And again, as I always say, I'm not fucking Mother Teresa, like, I get that. But I'm still on my own journey too. I'm still trying to get better too. And if you're waiting for me to tell you what the hardest thing in my life was, I'll get to that. So I thought about my life, and I thought about my journey, and I thought about the meditation and the spirituality and the training. I'm not going to tell you to become religious or anything like that. But you will never, ever take action and change unless you understand this. Fear will stop you. Doubt will stop you. I mean, most people around you have given up on their own lives and their own dreams. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but I'm also saying there's something wrong with them. Because when I did that myself, didn't pursue my greatness, didn't step into my greatness, I knew I was capable of more, but I didn't do it. I flunked out of high school. I don't know what to do. It's scary. So on and so forth. But how do you silence that voice? How do you silence that imagination? How do you silence that deep down calling? It's like, you can do more. You should do more. You hate this job. You hate this location. Like, you don't even connect with your friends anymore. You drink. Or you gamble. Or you just do stupid ass shit to find any kind of enjoyment in this crazy fucking life. And this is something I never understood either. I mean, we live in somewhat of the easiest time to be alive. I mean, no one's kicking in your door to kill you. There's no wild animals out there. Even in Australia, it's pretty tame. What are we afraid of? Why aren't we excelling when we have access to all these things? The biggest thing I've noticed, and the biggest connection I've made with men all over Australia and now America, just like me, possibly just like you, they put armor over their heart, they put armor over their mind, and life just punched them in the face one too many fucking times. And they closed off any idea of living a better life. And what's living a better life got to do with anything? I mean, once you change your belief system to understand and accept you are capable of more, and in fact you're probably not pursuing what it is you're here to do, or at the very least what it is you want to do, until you can get in touch with a higher power and understand what you're here to do. I mean, I'd probably want to eat pizza too, instead of eat healthy. I'd probably want to go out and party too, instead of going to the gym. Because there is no passion and substance and pleasure in your day-to-day life without that. And the hardest fucking thing I've done in my life was show up in my life every single fucking day. Too much month, not enough money, still showed up. Someone lied to me, still showed up. Depression flashbacks, still showed up. And I mean, I'm not saying my problems and challenges are any harder than yours, not at all. I'm just saying I experience them too. Everyone does. But it's not talked about enough. Like, no one is vulnerable, no one's open. Like, I don't really have much to lose. I mean, if you know my life previous to this, and if you know some of the challenges and setbacks I've experienced in my life, I mean, talking openly, least of my worries. But also talking openly, telling people what I know, made me who I am. I mean, high school dropout, or kicked out, depending on how you want to look at that. And people say to me, hey, did you go to university? Do you have degrees? How do you know what you know? How do you speak like you speak? Why are you so good at what you do? Well, I've been obsessed with it the last 10 years. I've been studying and growing and working on myself the last 10 years. But I never had the self-belief or the self-esteem to pull the trigger like I've been doing. It's the same thing stopping you. I mean, this is going back 5 years when I started telling people about my life. And it was really 50-50. I mean, there's 7 billion people on the planet, but half of the people thought it was amazing. Half of the people judged me, thought I shouldn't tell these stories. And it's going to be the same thing with you. I'm not just talking about people on social media, I'm talking half your family, half your friends, half the people in your workplace. But then things started happening. I mean, this very pendant that I'm wearing, given to me by a good friend of mine. She said to me, I need you to come to this school and speak to these 15-year-old girls who have gone through incredibly challenging things. Something I've always wanted to do. I said, why me? She said, there's no one better to do the job. Built up my self-belief, built up my self-esteem. Made me realize what I saw in my mind about helping people with my teachings wasn't just something that I had dreamt up. And it's the same thing with you. Like, I don't know what it is you want to do, but you know, you see it in there. But you don't act on it. I mean, when the government approached me about going into prisons, I said, why me? Doesn't seem like there's anyone better to do the job. And then ultimately I had the courage and the belief to do it my way. Speak my way. And start showing up in my life each and every single day. Because this is what we do as people. We create different identities. We create different personalities. We create these stories. Like the person that shows up at work, the person that shows up in your family, the person that shows up with your friends. Like, it's always different. Because you're worried about what people think, or you're worried about people may not like you. Or you may not even know who the fuck you are. There is just one me now. In fact, there's 2 me's. There's me now, and there's the me doesn't swear so much. And only my grandma gets to see that person, so there's really just one me. And despite all the pain, despite all the challenges, despite all the setbacks, that's what made life so much fucking easier. That's what made life so much more enjoyable. Because I'm just me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm just like you. I mean, $10 million in the bank, less stress, diplomatic immunity. I mean, there's all things that we want. But I'm not seeking out anything that I don't already have inside myself. Like, I don't think when I get this great car, I'll be complete. I don't think when I get another watch, I'll be complete. I don't think when I get this title next to my name, like, it makes me like a valued person in a social situation. I mean, I lived that life. And you get those things. And you realize the emptiness and the destructiveness and the desire to do all the shit that you shouldn't is still fucking there. So I'm not saying I have it all figured out, but by the sounds of it, compared to what I used to be, I got a lot figured out. And with, like what I said, speaking my mind, speaking the truth, sharing what I know. Sounds like a lot of people are in the same position that I used to be. Possibly even you. Which is why I do this on my Facebook. So I'll leave that with you. I mean, yes, I'm not going to go over all my past challenges and setbacks and problems and things like that. But we all go through things. I mean, pain is relative. Depression is crippling to all of us. Anxiety makes life hard for all of us. But until you accept and understand that a big part of the time, if not almost all the time, what you're doing or not doing in your life is a result of two things. Past experiences that have beaten you down so bad, so you closed off your heart and your mind to actually trying again, to actually committing to something, to actually seeing something worth getting out of bed for, worth showing up in your fucking life for. And the second thing is, once you've gone through this process of rebuilding or recovery or healing, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I mean, I just help men live their fucking life again. I just help men be better dads. I just help men be happy. I just give men courage. I just stop men from killing themselves. I mean, what do you want me to say? But then also, once they get to that new baseline, once they get to that new, hit that reset button, I then teach them to use this. I mean, our whole education system is backwards, but it's a video for another day. Stop daydreaming. It's just your imagination. Don't use that. That's exactly what you need to use. Because that's the very fucking tool that's going to get you out of the darkness. Your mind and your imagination and your ability to fucking see something other than what you're experiencing right now. And people who don't use that, people who don't have that, won't tell you that. Because they're broken down too. I get it. I was broken down. But this is where it starts. Like taking plastic from here to here. Starts here. Taking fucking plastic from here to here in a factory in Melbourne. Now my potential is unlimited. Now my future is unlimited. Now I don't have enough time in the day to do things. Like I said, doesn't make me rich, doesn't make me happy every day, doesn't get me everything I want, but it's a whole lot fucking better than what I was doing. And it gives me the courage and the certainty and the strength and the choice to want to fucking show up in my life. I mean, working a job that kills your fucking soul, hanging out with people that put you down, not understanding what you're putting in your body. I probably want to shut down my fucking imagination too. So that being said, that was the hardest thing in my life. I mean, it still is. There are days where I want to quit. There are days where I want to take it easy. There are days where I don't want to change people all over the world for the better. But then I think, and I imagine what my life used to be like. I imagine what my life could be like if I continue this path. And gratefully and thankfully, I get messages every week. You saved my life. You changed my life. Didn't fucking kill myself because of you. Here's a picture of me and my kids on Christmas. Thanks to you. It gives you fuel to keep going. It gives you fuel to get up. And I tell you that because you're not going to get that at the start. It's not going to be easy at the start. But that's what my program is about. That's what my teachings are about. Guiding people through this fucking process. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, it allows you to have passion and energy and drive and know what you're doing and why and wanting to contribute to the world. I mean, these are great things. But I also know, I mean, I live the alternative, if not worse. That was pretty fucking hard too. And the only reason why it wasn't hard at times is because I shut myself the fuck down. Which is where our society is these days. Which is why depression is crazy. Which is why suicide is crazy. So that being said, I hope that information serves you well. It's not easy doing what I do. I don't know if I'll make it look easy. Life isn't always fun. But the fun and the crazy shit that I do, a lot of the times I do that on my bad days. To pick myself up. And you know what? It fucking does. And that's why I share it with you guys. Good, same thing. You made my day. I was having a shitty day. Had a laugh. First time I laughed in a week. That's good. It's a choice. I mean, I don't want to finish this with the cliche, be yourself and believe in yourself and that kind of thing, but I mean, ultimately it's as simple and as complicated as that. I mean, I give you a whole lot more if you work with me, but just like the government, just like the people that ask me to speak in schools, like, what did you do? That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Be different. Be yourself. Speak the truth. Even when people don't like it. I mean, most people don't like me now. That's cool. Like, I'm so focused on my life, it doesn't bother me. And the relationships I do have in my life are phenomenal. Not from doing anything different, but being myself. Like, I don't even try and please people. So if you only watch one video from me, or you only implement one lesson, made an effort with this little tree, light. Like I said, I didn't even know what I was going to say. It's not a cure, it's not a hack, it's not a trick. But it's an opportunity to live. It's a pathway out. Do not settle and accept things that are making you unhappy, because things will only get worse. And see inside your mind. Visualize inside your mind. Fuck, try something different. Get a pen and paper out. Write down what it is you want to do. Who you want to be. I know, it sounds crazy, right? But God, the universe, aliens, like whatever the fuck you want to call it. We all have this. We all have this imagination. We all visualize shit. Most of us just waste it. If you want my drive, if you want my energy, if you want my confidence, work out what it is you're here to do. And then go after it. I mean, I've told you all my flaws. I've told you all my setbacks. There's no reason why you can't do anything if I did it. That's it.